But the nice thing about rug hooking, if somebody says, I'd kind of like to learn it, well, you sit them down at your hoop and say, here, take it, you pull a loop, pull, 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 they're rug hooking. That's it. Easy to learn, hard to perfect. Being a fiber artist has always been a big part of my life. I started knitting. My mother taught me to knit when I was about 7 or 8, and we made simple things, and I've been knitting ever since. When we came to Yarmouth in 1996, I'd never heard of rug hooking. It's sort of now I'm a knitter that rug hooks. I'm not yet a rug hooker that knits, but my main passion is knitting. But rug hooking has really been extremely important to me. In Nova Scotia, the Maritimes, we're kind of the center for rug hooking in North America, actually. Newfoundland has a guild. Ontario has a guild now. It's spotchy in other places, but here it seems to be much more of a tradition. We also have one of the very important artists, Deanne Fitzpatrick, who lives in Amherst. And she really has brought so many people into the art form as well. She kind of changed the craft from being more traditional to hook with whatever you want. You know, like thrown it open to yarn and made it much more accessible. And rug hooking has grown out of those more traditional rules. I still describe myself as a traditional rug hooker because I much prefer wool strips. But so many of the other people have turned to yarns because they are more accessible. They're less expensive. The sort of bottom line of the whole thing is that we do use natural fibers. I discovered rug hooking because my daughter had just come back from university in South Africa, actually, and they asked her, the Sign of the Whale, the Morrises, asked her if she would help organize summer programs, summer craft courses. She came to me and she said, Mother, you have to sign up for rug hooking because if I don't get one more person to rug hook, we can't have the class. So Shirley Bradshaw was teaching the course, and Shirley is a very important rug hooker, and many of us have been taught by Shirley. It just fascinated me because the creativity of rug hooking is your own. Like with knitting, you knit from patterns. I do some of my own patterns, but for the most part, you take a pattern and you figure out the intricacies in knitting. But in rug hooking, it becomes your own. I design a lot of my patterns, or I work from pictures or whatever. So rug hooking is very different from knitting. But for my hands, it's wonderful to have the two because as you get older, you realize that your hands are very important. So I knit for a while, and then if my hands sort of get tired of that, rug hooking is a different use of my hands. So I go to rug hooking and a different use of my brain. The other thing I discovered, of course, is rug hooking you do together. So we have 2 groups in Yarmouth. We have the carpetbaggers, and we have the rugbies, and they meet at different times, and I'm a member of both. We've actually done Zoom rug hooking. We've done Zoom knitting too, because we did form a knitting group, so we Zoom knit together, which is kind of crazy, but it works because those are my friends. You know, being retired, my friends used to circle around my employment, but now my friends circle around the fiber arts that I do. Yarmouth is, in fact, our whole area, Clare, Pubnicos. There's so many crafters here and so many fiber artists of all kinds. But I think there are probably 40 or 45, 50 rug hookers in Yarmouth, an area. It's an amazing community. Currently, I'm president of the Rug Hooking Guild of Nova Scotia. We have 800 members in the Rug Hooking Guild of Nova Scotia. We publish a magazine called The Loop, and it's a 34-page magazine that we put out 4 times a year. The Rug Hooking Guild has members all over Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island and New Brunswick. But we also have members in every province. We have members in a lot of the states. We have international members. And the other thing is we're also getting a lot of younger members. It's not just old gray-haired gals like me. And there we have men. We have young people. Who knew? When I started all this, I had no idea. I use wool strips. I don't use yarn for the most part. This is a more traditional, and the cut I have is the 3, and it's fairly thin. But I like it because it does what I want it to do. As I get older, I only really like to hook something that has meaning to me. This particular mat is a Celtic knot. It's called Heron and Fish. It's patterned by Carol Harvey Clark, one of the very first rug hookers I ever met down in Mahone Bay. And she just died recently, quite suddenly, and she had a rug hooking shop called Spruce Top, a rug hooking studio. She was very important to me because before I even knew what rug hooking was, when I was working for the school board in Mahone Bay, Don Glover, who worked for the school board, he said, "Come and meet somebody. You need to meet this woman." So I went through this red door in this funny little house in Mahone Bay, and there was Carol, and she was cooking on the stove, and I thought she was making soup, but it smelled funny, but she was actually dyeing wool. So a lot of the wool that I use, I get from Carol. When she died, I just felt I needed to do a mat of hers. So that's what I'm doing, and it's kind of a labor of love because I really do appreciate all that Carol has done for me and the rug hooking community. So that's what I'm working on.
Do you find it a culture shock coming to a small town from Ottawa?
Yes. But Stan and I both were raised in small towns, so it's kind of like coming back to your roots. Yarmouth is really so full of art and artistic people. I was involved with the Waterfront Gallery until we had to close, and we hope to try to get it going again. And the Waterfront Gallery brought together both all kinds of art forms. Like we had potters, we had painters, we had fibre artists, we had all kinds of things. All kinds of artists that came together. We now have Yarmouth Creatives, which is so important. Just as an outlet, the Art Society, Yarmouth Art Society, said, well, let's try to get together and find a space. We found a space. All that we could afford is free. So fortunately, the Yarmouth Mall was really great for us, and they gave it to us free. And when you walk in there now, it's just color. You can see color and shape and brilliance right through the whole area. And we've had so many joint shows together. The Yarmouth Craft Guild, the Yarmouth Art Society, the Waterfront Gallery, Yarmouth Creatives, the Rug Hooking Guilds, the Knitting Guilds. Think of us. Then you've got the music and the arts and the ARC. And this is really an important artistic community. And we're also a competitive lot. I love that part about it too. We love to show off our work. Artists I find they're very self-assured. I know that I make stuff that I love. And if you don't love it, that's okay. But I love it. And I think it's probably as good as yours. So that competitive spirit, I think, makes us want to display things, makes musicians want to play music, wants theater people to want to act, and it makes us want to show our work. So whenever we say we're going to have an exhibit at, we're there because we like to show off. Like my work makes me feel good. Over the years, I've done commission work, but I find that now I want to do what I want to do. I only now hook what I love to do. I don't know many painters or rug hookers that will paint and stick things under their bed and never show them. We're all show-offs, so we want to see other people's work. We want to grow from other people's work, but we're also proud of our own work, and that's really important.